Good morning. Joining us this morning, we have our Attorney General, Ashley Moody. We have Sheriff Grady Judd from Polk County, Wayne Ivey, Sheriff of Brevard County, and then we have Judge Andrew Bain from the 9th Judicial Circuit. The state of Florida is a law and order state, and that means we support the men and women who wear the uniform, who protect and serve. It means we have strong policies to hold criminals accountable for their misconduct. Prosecutors have a duty to faithfully enforce the law. One's political agenda cannot trump this solemn duty. Refusing to faithfully enforce the laws of Florida puts our communities in danger and victimizes innocent Floridians. Accordingly, I am today announcing the suspension of State Attorney Monique Worrell from the 9th Judicial Circuit effective immediately. I'm appointing Judge Andrew Bain to take over as State Attorney for the 9th Judicial Circuit. Judge Bain is currently a judge in Orlando. He is a native Floridian. He attended University of Miami, where he played football, and he received his law degree from Florida A&M Law School. And I trust that he will be a prosecutor that faithfully enforces the law and will keep the communities of Central Florida safe. Monique Worrell's administration of criminal justice in the 9th Circuit has been clearly and fundamentally derelict so as to constitute both neglect of duty and incompetence. The policies or practices listed in our executive order suspending her that constitutes the grounds of suspension are as follows. One, a pattern or practice to avoid minimum mandatory sentences for gun crimes. Pattern or practice to avoid minimum mandatory sentences for drug trafficking offenses. Pattern or practice allowing juvenile offenders to avoid serious charges and incarceration altogether. Pattern or practice to avoid valid and applicable sentencing enhancements. Pattern or practice limiting charges for child pornography. Pattern or practice for seeking withholding of adjudication in situations not permitted under Florida law. Prosecutors do have a certain amount of discretion about which cases to bring and which not. But what this state attorney has done is abuse that discretion and has effectively nullified certain laws in the state of Florida. That breaches her duties that she owes to the people of Florida under our state constitution and provides the basis for the suspension. And we can look to see all these different instances of people who have committed criminal offenses, victimized people because they were not held accountable in accordance with the laws of Florida when they had the opportunity to hold them accountable. In November of 2022, there was a 17-year-old Lorenzo Larry shot and killed his pregnant girlfriend, DeShayla Ferguson. He had previously been arrested in May of 2022 on several charges, including carrying a concealed firearm, possession of a firearm on school property, and criminal possession of a firearm by a minor, but he was released after all these arrests. Worrell's office did not act on any of these charges until after he killed his girlfriend and their unborn child. In 2018, Jazir Dobson invaded a home in Orange County and robbed the occupants at gunpoint. Dobson was charged with multiple counts of armed burglary with a firearm, robbery with a firearm, and false imprisonment. These charges carried a 10-year mandatory minimum sentence with a maximum of life in prison. After Worrell took office in 2021, 5 of the charges were not prosecuted and adjudication was withheld on the remaining. Withholding adjudication means that Dobson is not considered a convicted felon, and possession of a firearm by a felon would not apply if he were rearrested in the future. And he was sentenced to only 51 weeks of jail time, and he was sentenced as a youthful offender. And then just this past weekend, Worrell was at the center of another major controversy. Dayton VL was arrested in March of 2023 for sexual battery on a minor, as well as lewd and lascivious molestation. The arrest was made while he was on probation for another offense. That probation began in February of 2022, and yet he was still let out on bond and then tragically shot 2 Orlando police officers. I have no doubt that today's decision is not only consistent with the Constitution and laws of Florida, and that we have a right to act I know that today's decision, we had a duty to act to protect the public from this dereliction of duty.